guys, it's Lindsay. Welcome back to The Wandering Reader. Today I'm going to be doing my September book haul. So I was quite restrained in September when it came to book buying. I've been trying to, I've made a bit of a, I've changed my mindset a little bit when it comes to buying books. So you would have seen that I did a massive unhaul of my of some of my books a couple of weeks ago. I really thought about books that I hadn't bought brand new and that had sat on my shelf for quite a while and that I hadn't necessarily read, that I could go and get out of my library. So I decided that I would use my library a little bit more, would unhaul those things, make a bit more room on my shelves, and concentrate on only buying things that A, were in really good condition, and B, that I actually wanted to collect and show off on my shelf. So that's kind of my reasoning behind that. So my book haul should be a little bit smaller from now on, just because I'm going to be concentrating on those kinds of things. So the first lot of books that I've got to show you, I was kindly sent by one of my subscribers. A lady called Holder got in touch with me. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I think she's from Iceland. And she always comments on my videos, and she got in touch and said that some of the books that I had on my Kindle TBR she had physical copies of, and I like them basically. So she very kindly sent them over during August, but I only managed to pick them up from work when I got back at the beginning of September, so hence why I'm showing them to you now, and they weren't in my August book haul. So yeah, so the one that was on my Kindle TBR that she sent me was The Time of My Life, and this is by Patrick Swayze and Lisa Nemi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, who I believe is his wife. Yeah, I don't really know how you say that. But yeah, I absolutely love Patrick Swayze, and actually it was only last night when I was watching a couple of videos on YouTube of some of the songs from Dirty Dancing. I just absolutely love that film. So it's really nice to have a physical copy of this now. She also very kindly sent me over a couple of other Patrick Swayze books. So this is Worth Fighting For by Lisa Nemi Swayze, Love, Loss and Moving Forward. So presumably she wrote this after he died, so that'd be really interesting. And then the other one that she sent over was One Last Dance, Patrick Swayze by Wendy Lee. So this is obviously a biography, yeah, of his life. So yeah, again, I'm really fascinated by him as an actor. It's just such a shame that he had to die so young. So yeah, I'm looking forward to giving those a go, and the fact that I've actually got them on my shelves. She very kindly sent over a few other books which I wasn't expecting at all, one of which is The Best of Me by Nicholas Sparks. I've read a couple of Nicholas Sparks books and quite like them. They're quite sort of like fluffy, mindless contemporaries basically. So if I'm in the mood for something a little bit lighter, then these always fit the bill. So I'm not quite sure what this one's about, but they're sort of like contemporary romance. I think they're more YA than they are adult. So yeah, there's that one. She also sent over The Time of My Life by Cecilia Ahern. I think I've only read P.S. I Love You by Cecilia Ahern, and that was quite a while ago now, a number of years ago. So I'd be interested in checking out something else of hers. I really like this pink cover, and it's sort of like one of those embossed covers. It's really pretty. So again, another contemporary book. This is a book that I've never heard of before. It's called South of Forgiveness, and this is by Thordis Elva. And then it says Tom Stranger underneath, so I think that's possibly who translated it. I'm not entirely sure. But I think this is set in Iceland. So it says, one ordinary spring morning in Reykjavik, Thordis Elva kisses her son and partner goodbye before boarding a plane to do an extraordinary thing, fly 7,000 miles south to meet up with the man who raped her when she was just 16. Meanwhile, in Sydney, Australia, Tom Stranger nervously embarks on an equally life-changing journey, wondering whether he's worthy of this meeting. After exchanging hundreds of seemingly honest emails over 8 years, Thordis and Tom decided it was time to speak face to face. Coming from opposite sides of the globe, they meet in the middle in Cape Town, South Africa, a country that is no stranger to violence and the healing power of forgiveness. So this is an unprecedented collaboration between a survivor and a perpetrator, each equally committed to exploring the darkest moment of their lives. Alright, so this is a non-fiction book then. So this is written obviously by both of them. And that sounds really, really interesting. So that whole idea of talking to the person that raped you, God, that takes some strength. Yeah. So that sounds amazing. And the last book that she sent me was Bring Me Back by B.A. Paris, which unfortunately I do actually already have a copy of on my shelf. So I am going to be donating this probably to my sister-in-law because she likes thrillers, I think, and yeah, I don't think she has this. So yeah, I'll give that to her instead, and then obviously because I've got my own copy of it on my shelf. My husband was also bought a book by one of his students this month, which is also on my sort of wish list of books, and that is A Stranger in the House by Shari Lapina. This is another thriller. I don't really know much about it, but the covers of the two books that she's written are very, very similar, and they always catch my eye in bookshops. So yeah, there's that one. Then the rest of the books here are books that I bought myself, and they're all new books apart from one. So firstly, I picked up, I'll just put these in some sort of order, I picked up books 5, 6 and 7 in the new edition of the Harry Potter series. For those of you that saw my bookshelf tour, you'll know that I'd collected books 1 to 4, but I hadn't yet got around to buying these ones. And I saw them for a relatively good price in my local supermarket, so I thought I would just pick them up and finish my collection of this particular edition of the books. Got so many now, but you know, whatever. The one book that I bought that wasn't new was Birdcage Walk by Helen Dunmore, but this is a new copy of it. I just picked it up in a charity shop, but it hasn't been read before. It doesn't look like to me anyway. And this is, I believe, a historical fiction novel. And am I right in saying that Helen Dunmore recently passed away? I feel like that's right, but I could be wrong about that. Yeah, it says she was. Yeah, she died in June 2017. Okay, good. So I am right. So this is a historical fiction novel. So it's set during the French Revolution, and it follows a character called Lizzie Fawkes, and it's about yeah, them, you know, trying to survive during the French Revolution. I don't really know much more about it than that. But when this first came out, I kept seeing it in Waterstones and was intrigued by it. And the cover's really, really pretty. So yeah, I saw it in there and I just thought, well, it's brand new and it's £1, so I'll get it. And then the rest are hardback new copies of books that have been just recently released. This one is Love As Always Mum by Mae West with Neil McKay. For those of you that don't live in the UK, Rose and Fred West were a married couple who murdered a lot of young women. I think it was in the 1980s in Britain. I can't remember whereabouts in Britain, but it was a big, massive murder investigation at the time, and they did really horrific things to these young girls. And yeah, and so the two of them are obviously in prison. They have been in prison since it happened about 20, I think it was about 20 years ago now. So this has been written by their daughter, May, and it's about, from what I can gather from it, it's about her relationship with her mum and about how her life was affected, obviously, by what her parents did. And the fact that her parents have spent their lives in prison. So I'm kind of I'm fascinated by the idea of, you know, learning about not what motivates people to do these terrible things, but kind of like the psychological, you know, what makes their brains make those kind of decisions. I don't really know, but it will also be really fascinating to kind of learn about the daughter's life and sort of how she was affected by it. So yeah, that's going to be a really interesting one. This next one is Sea Prayer by Khaled Hosseini. This is his recent release. It's his children's novel, and it's illustrated by Dan Williams, and it's basically a children's story where you've got a father who's telling his son, you know, all about their life and why they are moving to a new country. So they're standing on a beach waiting for a boat to arrive, and they're in Syria, and it's all about him telling the story of their life and why they're moving, and it's beautifully illustrated. So you know, it's got lovely illustrations in it, like this. I have already read this, and I'll talk about this in my wrap up, which should be coming up, or maybe it's up already. I haven't decided what order these videos are going to go in, and I did really enjoy it, so watch out for my thoughts on that one. And then the last book that I've got to show you is this monster. It's The Labyrinth of the Spirits by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. This is the 4th book in his Shadow of the Wind. He's not calling it a quartet, he's calling it like it's in the same world as, so it doesn't continue on from the last one, but it is set in the same world. So I got this Waterstones exclusive edition. I pre-ordered it. It's got these beautifully sprayed red edges. There's nothing much to see underneath the cover, but then it is also signed by him too. So yeah, really pleased to have that. It's going to look a bit odd next to the other ones in the series that I've got on my shelf, but you know, I'm going to have to cope with that, so I'm just happy to have it. I do want to reread The Shadow of the Wind, and I've read the first 2 in the series, didn't get around to reading the 3rd, and I just feel like I could do with rereading it, so yeah. So there you go guys, they were all of the books that I bought or was sent in the month of September. I'd love to have a chat with you in the comments below. Have you read any of these? What did you think of them? And what books did you pick up in the month of September? Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.